I had occasion to run into Rocky Spurgeon and Norm Kramer, the executive director, this evening. And as I approached them, I was tapping my purple card, which indicates that I'm a level 2. And as they came closer, I said, every day that goes by, I'm being punished for refusing to attend treatment. And they stopped. I was surprised that they stopped, and they engaged me in a conversation. They actually listened to what I had to say. I asked them if they had received my letter, which I had sent on the 24th of last month, in which I outlined the problem is that the law prohibits them from punishing me as a civil detainee for refusing treatment of any kind. And yet by refusing to attend the monthly meetings that are set up, called WRTs for Wellness and Recovery Teams, the automatic response is to reduce the level to a level 2. This level prohibits anyone in level 2 is prohibited from attending gymnasium, canteen, grill, the courtyards, the sports yards, that is, the main yard. In short, all leisure activities are curtailed completely without an escort, which is absolutely impossible to do on a unit such as I live on, which is staffed by 2 police officers and 1 other free person whose time is taken up entirely by med room duties. So, interestingly, this is justified by claiming that the wellness and recovery teams are really assessment teams whereby they can assess the appropriateness of a level 3. This is the terminology they use. Only by attending this wellness and recovery team can my appropriateness for level 3 be assessed, which is absurd, of course. I pass by the psychologist's office every day and engage them in conversations whenever they're free. And it's easy to assess somebody's appropriateness for level 3, especially if nothing has happened, if there's been no altercations or bad behavior. There would be no reason to reassess it. But by making a dual use or dual purpose meeting, such as the wellness and recovery, they can claim that by refusing to attend team that they're justified in removing a person's level. What this means is that I am forbidden to participate in those activities for refusing to attend a treatment. I wrote Norm Kramer a letter on the 24th of last month, as I said, and I pointed this out, that the dual purpose treatment and assessment teams is not appropriate, and I suggested a solution. The solution would be to use assessment teams specific to assessing somebody's appropriateness without throwing in the treatment. I have an objection to attending WRTs because it is through the WRTs that the so-called diagnosis is perpetuated. Every month, my past is paraded before me and it's put down on paper. And it is the WRT documents that psychologists, evaluators, access and make note of in their evaluations, which follow me, of course, to court. So I don't want to perpetuate that, so I simply don't attend, but I'm being punished for that decision. And it's all very benevolent. There's a lot of smiling and, hi, how are you doing, and a jokey type attitude about it. But I'm deadly serious about this. I absolutely refuse to go to team, and so do several others. It is the sticking point as far as I'm concerned. So they actually already have these assessment type teams. If a person gets into a fight, a physical altercation, somebody might be hurt actually in one of these altercations, they lose their level 3 and they lose it for a week. After a week, they get their level 3 back again. But if I choose to do the hard thing, the difficult thing, by not acquiescing to their heavy-handed, high-handed treatment, I'm punished. And not just for a week, I'm punished for good. And finally, interestingly, there are other groups that I can attend. Those groups are classes. If I were in phase group, I could attend those phase group meetings. There would be no restriction on my movement at all. In fact, there is no restriction on my movement except for leisure activities, activities that are healthy and bring some kind of respite from this sterile dungeon. One of the things that we're precluded from doing, and that is going to the gym. They have a pretty nice gym. They've got a lot of Nautilus equipment. There's really no place I can run in here. There's no place I can play soccer. The courtyards are minuscule. There are limitations on how many people can be out there, and you can't go in a straight line for more than 20 yards anyway. In the gym, there's a treadmill and there are exercycles and things like that I could avail myself of. I was on the hunger strike months ago, and I went down to 173 pounds. I haven't been that light for years. And when we went off the strike, I steadily started gaining, but I'm not doing any physical exercise, so I'm back up to 196 now. I'm actually above what I was when I started the strike, and I gain about a pound and a half a day. It's really inexorable and not very nice for me. I feel heavy. I feel sedentary. I don't get any physical exercise. And there's no place to physically exercise, actually. I do push-ups in my room and things like that, but there's very limited things that I can do. So I'm not at all happy about that. Yeah, as a direct result of my refusal to attend teams, I have been forbidden to go to gym. The only exception would be is if I were escorted, something that is absolutely impossible on the unit that I live on.
Can your participation in the treatment teams and the reports generated by those teams be used against you in later civil commitment trials?
Well, it is used against us. The problem lies in the difference in definitions. The definition of a forensic evaluation and a definition of a clinical evaluation. Dr. Michael First, who was editor of the DSM, stated in an amicus curiae brief in Washington that it is absolutely inappropriate to use the DSM in a forensic evaluation. However, that is exactly what they do. And when they arrive at a diagnosis, which is, by the way, liberal with respect to the application of diagnoses, then because clinical evaluations are as liberal as possible to allow as many people access to mental health treatment out there on the streets as possible. In a forensic environment, what you find is a lot of false positives. That is, where people are diagnosed as having a mental illness or a mental personality disorder or mental disorder who actually have nothing wrong with them at all. And so these diagnoses that are supplied by evaluators that are selected for their agreeing with the DMH position that you meet the criteria, these people are happy to put a diagnosis on you when there are no current signs or symptoms of a mental disorder. So this diagnosis then follows you into the WRT meetings. It is reiterated. It is put back on paper again. The details of your crime are put on paper again in all of their sordid details. Those crimes are crimes that I committed and the other men here committed, and they were not good things. We were bad and we deserved the punishment that we got. We went to prison for those crimes. This is something different. This is a gulag, just like the Soviet system. So if I attend a team, then I'm asked to sign this paper that says all of these things about me. So I declined to attend teams because in doing so I would perpetuate a system that is at its heart unethical. So I absolutely refuse to attend them on those bases. And not attending them, and not attending these WRT meetings, I'm directly punished. Now these WRT meetings produce paper that go into my file, and everyone who attends has the same result. Paper goes into their file. When they go see an evaluator, guess what the evaluator accesses? He accesses those WRT meetings, and he sees that same diagnosis over and over again, unchanged. They absolutely ignore any evidence that is positive and continue to concentrate on historical evidence to support their diagnosis.